Just a first comment on the key slogan. Remember translation of the key slogan as well. It's just because everything was in English, so it's just for the future, for the selection procedure. Something I want to ask is, all this is focusing, it's inward looking into the language technology world. And I think that Roberto mentioned it, that a question could be, do we really need something specific? Okay, so I think that even in this vision document for the research, there should be an overview of the possibilities that are not used and why they're not used. Okay, there was a discussion about national activities, regional activities, international activities, I mean, or funding mechanism or such things. Probably you could take this into account. Okay.
Yeah. I think you're right, yeah, that's a good observation. This vision document is still, nevertheless, I think it plays an important role in not only inspiring the Meta Council and all the public in order to come up with an SRA, but on the communication side, on the communication between us and the world out there, yeah, and the others, more still needs to be done. Yeah? We hope that with the, did you think that in the outline it was better reflected in the outline of the SRA? Because that we need to do. We need to, in the outline of the SRA, in a document that you use for planning and asking for money, you really need to show exactly what is the state of the affairs in society and what are the real problems and what are the real potential. So do you think this is reflected?
In my opinion, there was language technology everywhere. So if you want to indicate that language technology can be embedded in other solutions, probably you should not just focus saying language technology this and language technology that and language.
Yeah.
So
bring
up to the outline level something.
Your idea is more stress, more also all the numerous ways or the numerous products, market opportunities where language technology is embedded, right? But in the end, our driving visions, yeah, we need to, if we pick something, yeah, where our language technology is a very important but an essential but small part of something much, much bigger, that could go wrong, yeah, because then we would have to agree with a completely different technology field. But you're right, we should also point out all these other parts.
Okay, still, somebody should take the microphone from me. So. I mean, it's, I think that the key term here, and it was mentioned in previous discussions, was enabling technology, which is, should be.
It's a question for Hans. You said that you investigated carefully the strategic research agenda of other domains. Can you elaborate which domains and which good things they did and which not so good things they did?
Yes, I even have a presentation, but it will take too long. We gave a presentation of that. So what we used is we used ambient assisted living, embedded systems, one from software engineering. We usually picked only the ones from our area, but there was one, Alyosha, from transportation also, or from transportation area. Mainly from our areas, maybe one from pharmacy, one from translation. And then we went through and we saw, for instance, how did they join, did they have one driving vision or several ones? How did they phrase it? How was the business either integrated or separated from the technology? I think this is a very, very important point, because whenever it is really separated, then you feel it. It smells of not being right, yeah, because there's some business consultant who got a lot of money to writing something, and the technology got less money but wrote something else, and then it never fits in the end. Yeah, so that's the difficult thing. So we studied many of these things, but it's not enough time now to give, but we presented some of that to the Meta Council actually in a presentation, and we have a presentation that if somebody would be interested in one of the meetings, we can schedule one of these things. Yeah. Maybe, or maybe we make it a business idea consultation how to write an SRA after we are through. Thank you.
Jock. John McNaught, UK National Centre for Text Mining. I have a question not so much about number of visions as level of visions. It is on, okay. I have a question more about level of visions rather than number of visions. Whenever I've prepared strategy documents and gone to funders, they've said, can you please give me alternative levels of vision? Tell me about your grand vision. Tell me about your less grand vision and what I would lose if I didn't go for the grand vision. Do you see what I'm getting at, Hans?
Not yet. Are you thinking of almost something like a document of documents, of something that has one level, a document that encodes several levels and you can read it customizable? Is that what you're saying?
It's not so much customizable, it's to try, it's giving the funders a choice,
Yeah.
but also trying to make a case to say, here is the grand vision, and here's what you get with the grand vision, but if you go down a step and have a less grand vision, here's what you lose.
Right. You are not saying customizable, but are you saying contrast? There should be, we should say the contrast. We should say what do you get really if you support this very strongly?
Exactly.
And if you don't, then the future will also be all right.
So here's what we could do.
Something like will also be good, but not the future. Then will be okay, but not bright, or something like. Okay, I see. Yeah, that's something that I haven't seen yet in the others, because it already takes lots of space usually to describe your grand vision. So, but it's something to think about. Yeah, yeah.
Who else? Dan.
I have just a small comment. Joseph, you spoke about the future European multilingual information society, and then among the last slides, you mentioned the pillars or the priorities, out of which the last one was efficient information management. So I would replace in both places information with knowledge. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I put information/knowledge, but it's easy to go to knowledge if you think it's more, intellectually speaking, sound.
I think from the factual level, you're very right, because many of these things actually pertain to knowledge. Yeah? So then you're right. When it comes to the communication part, I more and more hope that by the time that we are through in writing this, knowledge will have a good smell again in industry. Yeah? Because right now, because of knowledge management, yeah, these people, when you come now with knowledge applications sometimes to them, then but it's only a temporary thing, yeah? that somebody spoiled this very nice word for a while, but I hope it will come back. Yeah.
And maybe we may wonder if the DG may change its name into Know-So and Media.
Other, down there.
Géza Németh, Budapest University of Technology and Economics. I wonder what your opinion is about the fact that frequently there are statements or perceptions by the industry, some people in the industry or politicians, that some topics like speech synthesis or speech recognition for command and control or news transcription, media archive search and so on, perceive that this problem is solved. So they say there is no need for research. But then if we go to users and ask, okay, are you willing to use that system? They say no. So my favorite comment would be that I heard from a French colleague, Véronique Auberger, I guess, Joseph, you know her, that they asked users about a particular very well-developed speech synthesizer, what is your opinion or impression about the synthesizer? It was really natural, really high quality. So the user said, it's arrogant. So then, how would you see the possibility to handle this gap?
Yeah. When it comes to speech itself, I pass over to Joseph. He's the specialist. But when it, but that's what I tried to indicate when I said scientifically ambitious needs to be really ambitious, and it needs to be commercially over-ambitious. Yeah, it needs not to be. We need to make sure that this guiding solution vision, that everybody understands that for this vision that it's not there yet with the technology by just screwing together what you can do. Yeah? Otherwise we would be really in trouble. And because of the misconception of the public and many people about the state of some technologies, we better not leave it up to chance there. Yeah? We better phrase the thing ambitiously enough so that nobody even tries, yeah, to get us into a discussion, does that already exist on the market or not? Yeah. But with respect to speech, maybe.
Okay, I mean, this takes us to the topic of evaluation, obviously, and I think it's very important. I mean, we didn't discuss too much about evaluation during those 2 days, while it's very important. I mean, if we consider technology evaluation, this is, let's say, mandatory. So the quality of technology should be assessed, but it's not sufficient. And then there is the user evaluation, which has to be taken into account as well. So, I mean, we have to go through those processes. And this is true for text-to-speech synthesis, and this is true for automatic speech recognition, ranging for voice command, which is not too badly handled, up to meeting transcription, which is much difficult to handle, isn't it? So, I mean, we have a full scale of quality there. But maybe I would like also to raise, and this is in the field of translation. I mean, we discussed it this morning. I mean, evaluation in translation is still an open issue. I mean, an open research issue, and thinking more about the way to assess the quality of a translation. Should it be a machine translation, but also a human translation? I mean, why not evaluating the quality of a human translation, which may not be perfect? I think this is also something we have to take care of. And it's very important to look at the feeling of the users regarding this topic.